Yo, what is good? My anime people, what is good, yo? This guy broke my shirt, but I will finish the fight this round. Yo, I want to apologize for this video being later than it would have been, but I have some new changes coming out, and I've talked about it on the channel, and I just want to thank everybody that's still sticking around, and sorry you have to sit through this black screen while I'm talking. Yikers. Um, with this week's episode of Blade of Immortals, I I am I was kind of getting fed up. Like, to be fair, everybody and their mom showed up here, and for good reason, because of how it ended. To be fair, if it ended any earlier than them actually getting out of whatever happens, I would have hated it this episode. But this week was the most like clutch I've ever seen the Immortal be, our Maji-san. But by God, guys, did I feel stupid for thinking, man, he's really not gonna get even touched this week by anybody. What do you know? This man gets absolutely obliterated after a while. After the water starts flooding in and someone. Okay, so anyway, we get to start the show with our girl, our mature 3 years old woman from not being with the Maji-san and just becoming this absolute beast that in the moment called for it, and she showed up 100%. So I got to give it to her. She is ridiculously dope as a character, and I am truly happy that that is actually becoming a thing where she will be as viable as the main character. So with that being said, everything that I kind of see coming for this show in the grand scheme of what they set up this week was not only, new not villains, new enemies, old enemies, and the best part of it was there was new what ifs or questionable. There wasn't, it's not, you can't be like, oh, this is gonna happen because you are in a position now where either the show is going to be like, hey, she still works for the group of people. There's a girl that helped us this week that works with the people she wants to kill, right? So there's multiple people that have kind of helped the cause of her and helped her, and at the same time been at the forefront of the people that she wants to take out. So it's getting really convoluted, her goals. So when she's picking and choosing which ones she wants to kill, what if you don't get to pick or choose those ones to be in your way? What if they're the ones that are your obstacles? I gotta stop doing that. And because of that, it makes a big difference to me in the grand scheme of just where does her fate lie when it comes down to how trusting she can be of people that supposedly are the ones she needs to eliminate to get to the boss. And if these people are in the way, it's going to be a problem. You really wanted to show off in front of the video, didn't you? Didn't you? Now you're going to have me go all try hard so I can get another round in. I swear to God, Gerald. That's Gerald? Gerald. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we've seen a lot of what the Maji-san supposedly was supposed to. He is supposed to be a good swordsman, right? He's supposed to be pretty decent at what he does, but lately or throughout most of the show, he was always getting beat up by these ridiculously talented swordsmen or just people that have skill in whatever arts or weaponry they wanted to master. He was getting bopped like every time, and because they didn't know, he would just rise from the dead and they would lower their guards. That was the way he was winning most of his fights. um, but this week's episode, when you have had a trapped animal in a cage or like a zoo for so long, and it finally gets broken out and runs free. There's a movie coming out about a lion that does that soon that looked pretty interesting. But it was like a ginormous lion. Maybe like a liger. Uh, but that's what I'm talking about. That's the type of things that really put forward weird stuff in this show. In the case of all of a sudden, he's not getting touched. He's taking on the guy. First of all, he did throw a dagger in the guy's eye to take one of his eyes. But if you think that that should have slowed him down, just like he said, I only need one eye to cut down a man, I believe him, okay? Including if he's desperate. Let's be real. So, and his arm, his said his one arm was bound as well. So it's like he had a bound one armed, no weapon having man, and he's like, I have a sword and I'm still skilled, bruh. You're dying. And so with him throwing the needle that he got from the first bald guy that was ever tested on and killed on accident, they didn't even mean to do it. He gave him a weapon to attack, and I'm guessing he had a good feeling that he wasn't getting out of this too. So that is where the narrative of like all of these characters do something at the end of the day. And it felt like the only one who wasn't adding to the do something most of the time was the main girl. And now seeing the boy that she straight up lied to and told, this guy's dead, and here she is traveling with said guy. I'm pretty sure he's going to take that rough, but at the same time, the person he's with, Mr. Use my bones as weapons. Oh man, seeing him just, that's why I was going to hate this episode. Everybody and their mom showed up, and most of them lived, right? Like, most of these people lived, including the person that I was most terrified of, the broken swordsman himself, uh, the leader of this castle, or the shogun. And then you got all of these just heavy hitters just showing up one after another after another. But the best part was kind of the water. The water was a good indicator of every time it kept raising, the bars kept getting raised as well, right? So the water was at, very low level, and the master who wanted to fight and stuff could stand on that tablet and not be touching the water. Then once he is taken out, or the water raised so high that his body was under it, and no one would ever notice him because he was actually trying to stay low. He then, kind of helps the water just rise slowly without us paying attention. He's the person helping the water rise without us noticing. Then um, the homeboys, they get out, homeboy, homegirl get out and safe supposedly, but all of a sudden they got to make this grand attack and beat this amazing swordsman in a way that they don't even have like a sword, because at a point he got disarmed, had to run and get his sword, but that whole part of the transition, he never got touched by like anybody's blade. And after he dropped his guard, he lost all of his limbs, which next thing you know, they take him out, his limbs become a big deal all of a sudden, which was weird to me. I didn't understand why it was a big deal, just in the grand scheme of that limb of his wasn't even like one of his arms or hands aren't even his. It's the bald guy, right? So clearly he could just take the arm of some person that runs up on him and tries to rob him or something and try to kill him. Be like, well, thank you. You're the first arm offered today. It didn't seem like he should have been, find my limbs, get 'em. Like, I understand they're the limbs you've done the most time with, you spend the most hours on, but it seemed relatively fine when he got to use the ones he's been using. Imagine how many limbs he may have lost and got put onto other people, right? Isn't that the whole experiment, is to put his limbs on other people to see who it works better with or whatever? So yeah, that was kind of but to see the person who runs off with the limb, and I'm not thinking in my head like, oh, that guy stole the limb and now he won't get his arm back until he beats that guy. That's not what went to my head. The first thing that went to my head when we saw the guy with the bone weapon is he just got an arm back, man. I was like, he is so gonna attach that crap on. And then come to finish the video, uh, the one thing that actually was clear to me was the most dangerous or the dumbest person that we need to not have found is Mr. Burn Up My Research and go on spiritual mission, like try to he's doing the Sasuke journey, he's trying to redeem himself by traveling and maybe since he's a doc he should be able to help people, just go actually help people. Try not to do surgery and just actually apply some band-aids, okay, man? Like just do something. And of course, if anybody gets any idea that he was in some kind of cahoots, because now all of the people who were experimented on are prisoners are free. And maybe my mind's just running wild with that. If they all got freed, there is a bunch of people that don't even know they're immortal or have the healing factor, and they're gonna find out, like one way or another. But the one person that made me fully take that as an indication is old boy with his girl. Unless the effects aren't as good as they are with the main host, and by passing it down, it just doesn't work the same way or something. We have a giant, like 6'5" person in Japan of where people are only like 5'3" or 5'4", man. Like he sticks out like a sore thumb. And not only that, he's immortal as well. He has been put back together thanks to his girl. She put all of his pieces back together, and for some reason, he came back to life. So he didn't have his head cut off. So we still don't know about the head. It might be a Wolverine thing too. Like Wolverine can heal anything. In some stories, he has had his head cut off, but other stories, he's died from less. So with all that being said, everybody, thank you so much for being patient with me. I'm sorry this video might be long. I have no timer down there to go off of, but it seems like a long time. So with all that being said, I will talk to you in the next one. I still got like basketball and Seven Deadly Sins to watch, so if I put something off till tomorrow, I do apologize because I just got home and I'm trying to get everything out to you as quickly as possible. So with all that being said, take care and peace.